What is happening, everybody? My name is Beth and welcome back to Every Day is Spooktober. Now, as you can tell by the title in the video, we are talking about Cabin Fever from 2002. Just a heads up, I have seen the 2016 Cabin Fever, however, this 2002 version I have only just visited. So it's coming from someone that knows the premise of the story already and kind of went into the original being like, okay, they're very similar films, because it's obviously the 2016 one is a remake. But yeah, we're just going to be talking about, I guess, the Cabin Fever franchise. I haven't seen every single Cabin Fever because I know there's a few within this franchise, but I'm just talking about the 2002 one and then obviously the 2016 one as well, as I have already seen this one. Fun fact, I was like scrolling through the TV channels one day and I thought, oh, Cabin Fever, and I thought it was the 2016 one, as like I've said, I've seen it and I quite enjoy the 2016, and I flipped it on and it was the 2002, which I'd never seen, so I was it caught me by surprise, but I was like super hooked and intrigued the entire way, so I just kept watching it, and then I thought I'd make a video about it because I have some things to say. Let's just say that I have some things to say about this franchise, and as it's not the most liked and cherished and popular franchise, but I just want to talk about it, give it some justice, but then also shit on it a little bit because it's not the best, let's just say that. Check out my TikTok, by the way, it's Everyday Spooktober, where I post my DVD collections, things, DVDs, horror stuff, like all that kind of stuff, all that kind of jazz. But anyway, let's just get into this video. So obviously, we all know the premise. I mean, obviously if you're watching this, I assume you know the premise. Obviously, it's about a cabin in the woods, which sounds super familiar because like every horror film is about a cabin in the bloody woods. You literally have The Cabin in the Woods, which very shit film in my opinion. You have like the Evil Dead franchise, which mostly is set in a cabin in the woods. Not the new one though, very unfortunate. And it's just, I think it's just a very prime spot for just horror to kick off, which I completely understand. Like a creepy cabin in the middle of the woods is just it's this easy setting, it's a cheap setting for filmmakers to be like, right, we have our setting, we're filming this entire film here, done, sorted. So I completely get it. I love the term cabin fever anyway, and I do think this franchise is just a lot of fun. When I was watching the 2002 version, all I kept thinking in my head is like, I was going through the 2016 version in my head, and this original was exactly the same. So obviously there's not a ton of differences apart from there's just a new casting. Text obviously improved since then, gore is a bit more in your face, but the story is exactly the same between 2002 and 2016, so there's not a ton of differences, like I said, but it's funny because I personally prefer the 2016 Cabin Fever, which is funny because on IMDb it has a 3 out of 10, which is absolutely shocking. It's like one of the lowest rated films, like I think I like which is kind of crazy, but yeah, it didn't do well, and I'm not too sure what people's issues was with it, but like, since it's the exact same story, maybe that was it. People were like, I've seen this before, like I'm bored, which I mean, I can totally understand, but considering I visited the 2016 first, that one I just like more, and now comparing the two, I just think the newer one, it just has, the gore was more in your face, was more crazy, was more disgusting, was more brutal. And I love a good gory film, and I think that was what kind of did it for me. Obviously with the 2002, it was still very gory, and I was quite shocked at the effects and the makeup and everything they had for it, because it came across very realistic, and it still had the same gross, disgusting effect. Don't touch the water, like the water's infected, and like they have this disgusting disease. So I think it had the same effect. I just think that, generally, I feel like newer horror films are better in terms of gore because, personally, I like to get down and dirty and, grisly with it. Like, I want to see that gross stuff. Like, I don't want silly effects or things that are really goofy or cheesy. You know, so that was definitely one of my concerns going into the 2002 one, is thinking back to like the original Evil Dead. Obviously the like gore and like effects for that film are very over the top and campy and goofy, and I was kind of expecting it for Cabin Fever, the original, as well. As obviously this series, it's not taken that seriously. It is very odd, weird, and campy again, I would say. You know, it's not as campy as Evil Dead, but you know, some characters are very odd and strange and weird and don't really make a ton of sense, which I think is quite funny because it I guess you could argue it's a kind of like a bit of a comedy, but it's very much still horror, you know, invested and creepy and disgusting. For those of you who don't know, obviously this Cabin Fever, the original, made by Eli Roth, who has done a lot of films. I looked this up the other day and I was very shocked. I mean, the number one film that he's done that I didn't realise is Hostel, and I love the first Hostel. I think it's such a good film, such good gore, just such an engaging and interesting watch, and I think the fact that he did these was quite funny because it's just completely different tone. But yeah, he's done a lot of horror films, and you know, I'm starting to become a bit of a fan of his. You know, he's done quite a few The Last Exorcism films as well, so I quite like this guy. I'm gonna have to keep watching more of his films. I hope he's coming out with new stuff soon because I want to see like some more horror from him. I think these films, they are a fun watch. You put them on in the buttfuck of summer and you just, it's either in the background, it's there to entertain, it's watching with your friends, like it's just a fun movie to have on. It's not taken seriously, there's no major plot turns or plot points, it's easy to follow and it's easy to watch. And I think that's why I do like this film, is because sometimes, as much as I like the really cool, mind-bending, interesting twists and turns in horror, sometimes a good just slasher or just fun summary type of film is all you really need. You know what I mean? Like stuff like this, like Friday the 13th, you just throw it on and there's nothing deeper to it, there's no deeper levels, you just enjoy it. And that's what I think that's what this was. You know, as soon as I watched the 2002 version, I immediately went online and I bought the original and the remake on DVD. And, you know, like, they're just going to become a summer watch for me now, you know, and I'm excited to revisit the 2016 version after now visiting the OG. You know, I think one of my most favourite parts in this film, or in this remake and also the OG, I think my favourite part, and I'm glad they kept it in both films, was the fact that our character Jeff is so stubborn, just a little bitch in this film. And the fact that like he leaves his girlfriend and his friends and takes like a pack of beer and just goes into the forest, and he's like, you guys can deal with all this mess of people throwing up and bleeding to death and with this disease. I'm not drinking any water. I'm gonna go and just barricade myself in some like forest, and you guys can deal with this and I'll see you later. I think that is the funniest, probably one of the funniest like plot twist in a film. Like, you just don't really expect him, especially his character, to turn, especially on his girlfriend and then also on his like best friends. That, you know, it's so funny, and I really loved how they brought it back, you know, with the remake. Like, I didn't think they were going to do that because it is a really dumb, like stupid and like pretentious sort of thing for a character to do in this, but I think it just sets the bar on that like goofy campiness, but also having that big shock factor, because obviously at the end when everyone's dead, he returns to the camp, realizes that everyone's dead but he survived, has his like 2 seconds of like victory, and then ends up getting shot by like the police crew and everything. So I think it does a really good job of like making you want to like hide behind your hands because of how gross it is, but then also bringing in that like comedic aspect of like, you're just a little bitch, like you should have just handled it and dealt with it with your friends, instead of just like doing what he did. So that is my like highlight from these two films, is just like the fact that they kept this role in and the same behavior from him. to protect himself because he's selfish, doesn't care about anyone else. I just thought it was really funny. You would kind of expect that behaviour more from a woman in a horror film just because it's very cliche and like that's just kind of what you would expect. But the fact that we got it from a male, like a very alpha male in this, who's like the main character and tries to like obviously help and defend everyone, is so funny. So yeah, favorite moment from the films, of course. But yeah, like this, like I said, this is just chit chat about Cabin Fever series. I have indeed seen Cabin Fever Patient Zero, where they're like on the beach. I don't remember much from that apart from like some fight on the beach between two girls and like it getting really, they're like ripping each other's body parts off. I think that was what happened. Don't remember it being as good. I think as the franchise has gone on, it's just not really done as well. I think, you know, like I said, 2002, 2016, such good films. And you know, they just make me laugh, they make me giggle, and it's a bit of fun. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this to anyone who loves a good fun film. You know, if you're not into gore, it might not be the best kind of suggestion, but it's still a super fun film. And yeah, I'm giving Cabin Fever 2002 a 5 out of 10. Like I said, it's not that deep, it's not that serious, it's not the best thing in the world, but it's enjoyable if you're a horror fan in general, I think. So yeah, that was my review of Cabin Fever. I hope you guys enjoy. Go and check out my IMDb to find out what I rated 2016 Cabin Fever. Comment down below what you think I rated it, and then go and check it out. All those links are in my bio on YouTube, and I will link that below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video.